Let's proceed with a deeper teardown of this Olympus XA3. So what I'm going to show is how to remove the shutter plate for Olympus XA3. So to start, if you got the top cover removed, first thing to do is to remove the viewfinder with one screw over here. After we've got the viewfinder removed, we can go ahead and desolder the two terminals. We have a blue wire and an orange wire that just pops right off. We can go ahead and remove the top plate. And so, definitely take pictures before you start removing wire connections, just in case things have changed since this was made. Okay, we've got the top cover removed, we've got the viewfinder removed. What I'd like to do next is to remove the door lever here. So it's just one screw. And then we can also remove the flash lever. So first thing to do is just to pull off the spring very gently off its post. Okay, and then we can remove one screw over here. Remove this lever carefully. I do like to put my screws back here for this one because don't want to lose that. Okay. Next is we need to remove the DX encoding flex over here. So over here we have the DX encoding positions for the film canister. They run up through a flex over here onto this bracket. So next we just need to remove this part. So first thing to do is to remove this screw. And we want to be very careful. Keep this aside. So here we have a bracket with a screw. I was kind of expecting to see a little plastic bit. It might be underneath these two pieces of flex. So you can just take this flex up over here, take this flex up over here. There we go. And there's a little plastic piece just underneath here. We don't want to lose any of this. So we're just going to set that aside. Okay. Now that these two pieces of flex are removed, they are kind of intertwined. So, you just want to be careful and just try to untangle them a little bit. This piece over here, it's kind of just want to unfold that a little bit. Perfect. Okay. Now that is done, we'll want to remove the ceramic board. So we want to remove this black washer here first. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to grab it and pull it up. Now that's done. And now we should be able to remove the ceramic board. Just very gently kind of move around. If you have too much pressure, you can crack this board. Okay. And one of the things we just want to be careful on is how these flexes are kind of intertwined. Okay. We've got the board up, and then there's this other flex here, part of the flex. So we just want to pull that up, and then we can kind of lift that away. Okay, we've got the ceramic board up. Here's the DX encoding flex that we untangled. Here we have the positive connection for the positive terminal here. So there are just 3 solder terminals we need to remove before we move on to the next step. The first one is the negative terminal. So this is where the camera connects to the negative terminal on the camera. The flash sync wire. And so I'm just going to go ahead and just be very careful with that flex and just very gently remove that wire. Don't want to tear that flex. And lastly, we have the positive wire down in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and desolder that connection. Okay. So now that all 3 of those wires are removed, we can go ahead and remove the screws holding the shutter plate on. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th screw is over here. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove those screws. This is a step that I don't generally like to do because if you're not careful, you can impact the distance of the shutter plate to the film plane, which is critical for focus. But sometimes you just have to do it in order to solve your problems. Okay, I've got those 2 screws removed. Move on to the 3rd screw down here. Yeah, there's some really weird black stuff over here. I would not be surprised if our capacitor leaked. Okay, got that screw removed. Grab this 4th screw over here. Now this is a different type of screw, so just keep track of where the screws are located. And the last screw I have here is this screw over here. Sometimes this spring here is attached with this contact cement to the screw. So what I just like to do is I just like to break that E-bond. So when I turn this screw, we have less risk of taking the spring with it. It looks like we were successful. Okay, so bring my attention back to this little pesky screw here. I mean, this guy's just gonna pop up when I lift up the shutter plate, but I really like to get him out. Okay, I've got all 4 screws removed. Sometimes these wires get in the way. I don't like to desolder these wires if I don't need to. So sometimes I just like to unfold these wires, and then we can get access to the shutter plate. So to lift up the shutter plate, lift up the side over here first. Just gonna want to see how we can gently wiggle it around. Given that there's a little bit more flex components on this. Now I bet you these wires here are causing some issue. So I'm just gonna, there we go, perfect. Yeah, sometimes these wires like to catch and hold the shutter plate down. But now we are able to remove the shutter plate. Okay, so there you go. We have removed the shutter plates on the Olympus XA3, and you can kind of do your next repair step. Thank you for watching.